Now, Judas betrayed Jesus, or the Naz, and in Matthew, he tried to give the money back to the chief priests. And they wouldn't take it back because it was blood money. So he threw it on the floor and went out and hung himself. Dead. Judas was dead. All his money gone. Then the chief priests took the silver pieces and said, "It is not lawful to put them into the treasury because of the price of blood." And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. So they bought a field and buried strangers in the field. That's what they did. They bought a field, the chief priest. Judas was dead, he had no money. But in Acts, they're talking about Judas. This is long after Jesus died. He said, this man, Judas, purchased a field with a reward of iniquity. And falling headlong, he burst asunder in the midst, and all his bowels gushed out. So, in Acts, Judas bought this field. And while he was joining the midst of it, he fell forward, and all his guts burst out. So you have two different versions. You have the chief priest buying the field, and you have Judas buying the field. Right there in the Bible. There's two ways. And there's no way you consolidate this. The authorities may think of some crazy thing, but there is no way a reasonable thinking man can consolidate these two versions. Now there is another reason that everything is so messed up. If you read these first three Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, carefully, you will see a ministry like you've never seen before. You're basically, the Naz says, don't follow leaders, don't trust authorities, you got to feel it from your own heart, don't let anybody become between you and God. He says, anyone who puts on a show of being religious, prays in public, puts on a costume to show that he's more religious than you are, is a hypocrite. Just putting on a show for the glory of the crowd and nothing else. There's nothing holy about that at all. He's just trying to manipulate you. It's right there. He says, if you want to be really holy, you do it in absolute secret. Shut yourself in a closet and pray there. Let nobody know what you're doing. And it says, what you do in secret will be rewarded to you openly. Hey. So, the Pope, the church, the costumes, the hymns, the songs, they're all beautiful with stained glass windows. But it's a pretense. There's more glory in a blade of grass than is a cathedral. A newborn babe is 1,000,000 times holier than the Pope. If that is not clear, chapter Matthew 23, he just says all these mean things about religious authorities. How like they're beautiful tombs, all polished and clean on the outside, but inside filled with iniquity and dead man's bones. And he goes on and on about that. So make it clear that religious authorities in the Naz's book are not good. So how did it all get changed around? Pretty easy. You got three Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, that have a ministry. Solid. Good stuff. Makes sense. Read it. No one's going to tell you. You have to do it yourself. Then you have this guy named John. John. What happens with John, he takes everything in Matthew, Mark, and Luke and turns it around and says, no, that's not right. This is a whole different version. I'm not going to go into all that wild stuff, but whoa. One of the more fun things about that, in Luke, there's three separate stories. And then in John, he takes all three separate stories and puts them into one story. In Matthew, Mark, and Luke, when Jesus heals someone, he says to the person, it's your faith that's healed you. It's your faith that's healed. It's you that's helped heal you. and tell nobody. And John, he says, I'm going to heal people to glorify myself. John, he calls himself the Son of God. Matthew, Mark, and Luke, he's the Son of Man. He taught us to pray, Our Father, which means that we're all the children of God. And this is the message in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Now, that was the public ministry. There was a private ministry, too. Right here, it's called the Gospel According to Thomas. So dangerous, it was not even put in the Bible. Dangerous stuff. But if you read it, read Matthew, Mark, and Luke, you'll find out it's consistent. And it is powerful. Now, Harper and Row came out with a version of this. And it's translated by a man named Guillemot. Translation. Powerful. Maybe too powerful. Because that, after one publication, that never was seen again, and then they published it, Harper Row published it, Harper published it again, and then came out with a different translation. Translation is dead, but the Guillemot translation's alive. So much alive, I got a version of it, and I put it in a, got a friend, artist friend, to make a cover for it, and put it into my own little thing like this. Really nice. So, Guillemot translation, the Matthew of the Gospel According to Thomas. Well, get it right side up. That'd be cool. Okay. And that. What other? Oh, there are lots of things to discuss. Okay. A lot of things that Jesus says is based in the Old Testament. I find the Old Testament pretty mostly oppressive. Very strange things going on there. So I looked up little children and little ones and stuff like that, and found out that most of the things involving little children in the Old Testament is God telling the religious authorities to kill everybody, or some other group. Kill all the little kids, kill all the cattle, kill all the women. And then you got to read number 16. You want to plot for a horror story beyond no other, read number 16. Because the tribe of Israel begin to question the human religious authorities, and then God and the human religious authorities killed 20,000 people just for guys saying, why do you put yourselves above the rest of us? Aren't we equal? And they killed 20,000 people for that question. You got to find out what's inside this thing here. Find out what's there. Well, people will tell you themselves what's there. Don't believe them. Find out for yourself. It's fun. It's exciting. It's treasure. It is so much. Well, there you are, mateys. I think I'll enough to keep you busy for a while. It's a good adventure. And happy hunting for treasure there. It's good stuff. Always be good stuff there. And say goodbye to the mateys, Squib.
Alright, ladies. Nice to see you. See you next time. Ta-ta.
I guess we're off to sail some more. See you later.